think to yourself, of the 4.15 million people who work for the federal government, how many of those people do you trust? All those people are going to have access to your money. It's going to be utter chaos.
How do you think gold and silver will actually be priced if we are ever forced to literally barter and trade for goods and services? Some questions, Tim.
Sure.
First, how has your business changed over the decades from, coin collecting and a stacking perspective?
Originally, it was almost all numismatics back in the early 90s. That has gradually changed. I think, prior to more recent interest in gold and silver, it had become more like 60% numismatics and 40% gold and silver. We always have had gold and silver available. And I had all the receipts from the previous owner of the store going back to 1980.
Right.
At that time, there weren't a whole lot of things, a lot of options. Mostly the gold was all Krugerrands. Mm-hmm. And silver was only made by private companies. And there was no sovereign coins to speak of. In 2005, 2006, the percentage of gold and silver we're doing started to pass up the collectability. We also sold metal detectors. And there was 1 year in 1995, every company in metal detecting brought out new machines. And I used to advertise on a local radio station that had a metal detecting show, a treasure hunter show. Mm-hmm. And so I placed a TV ad there. Mm-hmm. In 1995, we sold 550 metal detectors.
Wow.
Okay. Coin collecting parents would bring their kids in on Saturday. And, we always had specials in the box, for things like Indian head pennies and buffalo nickels and even some more valuable collectibles. They literally took the coins out of a box and put them 25% off. And we sold lots of those to kids. And that changed over the years as gold and silver became more popular. Even our most avid coin collectors started buying gold and silver. People who are involved with numismatics know not to waste their money on something because it's pretty. And they always look at like my last customer of the day is a good example. He had his eye on an antique poured bar from a major manufacturer, and then he said, "No, I'm not going to spend that kind of money." So he took a 25-ounce bar, one of those hunks of silver that come in handy.
Yeah. So there's a clear shift. You've seen it over the years.
Definitely a shift. From mostly numismatics to almost, very, very much a very high percentage of gold and silver.
Mm-hmm. What is the most common mistake stackers make?
Falling for a good deal. That,
What do you mean?
It's always worth it to do a little bit of research. And typically, the private mint bars and rounds are going to be the least expensive. The sovereign coins are going to be more expensive usually. But you got to draw that line between sovereign coins and the just bullion, basically bullion. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to overbuy on any of the so-called collectible silver. Don't fall for any sales pitches.
Is it possible to stack too much?
That depends on your personal finances, but yeah, I've seen that a lot. So your personal finances are the thing that you should value the most, and have a plan. You don't want to cut into your own finances. The guys, you want to make sure you keep your wife happy.
There's some wise
It's kind of high on the list.
Yeah. If one could only stack 2 types of silver, what do you think they should be, Tim?
It depends on your purpose. I think a lot of people are using or buying silver as a potential barter currency.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
If that's your reason to buy silver, you probably should have some constitutional in addition to small, 1 ounce or in that vicinity silver. The half-ounce silver, 10th-ounce silver has a tendency to be much more expensive than 1 ounce.
1 ounce rounds, you mean, like the Buffalo round?
1 ounce rounds, 1 ounce bars.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be the basis of barter. Okay. But the other important barter is prior to 1965, dimes, quarters, and half dollars.
There it is.
Because they are already currency. Again, depends on your purpose. If you want to have a stack of silver, then don't fall for anything that's really collectible. Because when things get dicey, it's all going to be the same.
Goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yeah, if you spend a lot more for something that's pretty, it's all going to be the same as the least expensive ounce.
What is the most counterfeited coin that you personally see in your shop?
Okay, we always, from the first day I was in the store, we've had counterfeited Morgan dollars coming in, and that seems to be a favorite of the people in Asia who are making them. They make them usually with sand casting, so you can usually see the specks around the outer rim that are a dead giveaway. But by far, right now, we're seeing fake silver American Eagles. And they're, even without my glasses, I can usually see that they're fake.
Well, I have 2 fakes here. I have, like you mentioned, the Morgan. Here's a fake. It's kind of nice, though. This one says fake copy on it, and this is an American Eagle that is also fake. It says fake copy there on the right. Not all of them do.
Yeah, most of the fakes don't have that on them.
What do you think of this one? Good.
Well, it's actually a good representation of the
Okay.
of the silver eagle, but I bet it doesn't test out.
No, I bet it doesn't ping.
It doesn't. It doesn't feel right. Doesn't look right.
That sounds awful. All right, so let me do a real one. Big difference.
Yeah, and I've got to write a letter to help a person get her money back, and they don't represent these things properly. Trying to unravel where they come from and where they were sent from is pretty difficult.
If you see a website that is selling supposed eagles or maples and the price is too good to be true, like below spot, $20 for a eagle, it's not real. Do you think we'll ever witness hyperinflation in the United States?
At the Weimar Republic, after the First World War, all of Europe put them under a system of reparations that was something they could not contend with.
It's too much.
They weren't bringing enough money in to feed their own people, much less pay reparations to all the countries in Europe. So the Weimar Republic had no other way out except to start to inflate the currency. The problem with that is when you inflate the currency and you don't sit down and discuss it with the people, which you can't do because then you blow your cover to the rest of Europe, the people lose confidence in the money, and that's what happened in Germany.
And you don't see that as a possibility here in the United States?
People are already losing confidence in the money, but that's because if a normal inflation, with cost of food going up, the cost of paper products going up, the cost of things like lumber, building materials going up, but it's not universal. Okay, now obviously people who have to eat, they're experiencing higher prices, much higher prices in many cases, but it's not causing any panic yet. And in Germany, it created panic to the point that there were a lot of alternate currencies in use. People had gold and silver, kept them hidden, and found ways of converting it to cash, or converting the gold to silver or whatever. But at the end result, and took maybe 3 years at most. The last piece of currency they printed in the Weimar Republic was 100 billion marks. They all know that we can't afford to have a super inflated dollar. The dollar still has to be usable. And To the extent that they all feel that way, I couldn't tell you, because I hear some strange things out of people who should know better down there in the financial markets.
Yep.
As an example, let's say gold is going along at the 200-day moving average. All of a sudden, it takes a big jump. Okay, it stays there for a month or two, just going up every day. Sooner or later, of all these hedge funds and other financial investment companies who are all working together, somebody pulls the trigger and shorts a huge amount of gold or silver. They're all going to dive in. Nobody wants to be the last person to bail. And that's the kind of a market we're in. We have no control over the price of gold or the price of silver. The COMEX has, to some extent, the ability to control the price of silver because they set the price at which they buy back contracts. So they can, if they need to keep it down, they can keep it down. If they want to make it go up, I don't think it's in their best interest to do that. But gold is more a worldwide currency, and gold has a market of its own. It's not easy to control that market. But if your plan is to run it up and then short it, you better have everybody on board.
And that brings me to my next question. If we are ever forced to literally barter and trade for goods and services, how do you think gold and silver will actually be priced?
Boy, that depends on the supply of gold and silver. Because you can't have a good barter system if 97% of the population can't get their hands on gold and silver.
Do you think there will be a need to have groups or enclaves that are able to do this type of thing?
All barter currency is going to be like that. It'll be at a local level, because you got to find somebody who's willing to take these, whatever you're using, silver or gold or coins or whatever, and have to have a mechanism where you can get it back through other transactions.
And that pricing mechanism will be what the market demands.
Pretty much what the market will bear.
Okay. I'll tell you, 30 years ago, I never would have thought the way I think today. Things are getting much more, the potential for some of this I can see coming, especially the way our country's going.
When you have to go to jail because you used the wrong pronoun, that's a sure tip that things are failing in a hurry.
How safe do you feel from the federal government?
Not very. Think to yourself, of the 4.15 million people who work for the federal government, how many of those people do you trust? Every time you buy something online, somebody you don't know has all your numbers and could very easily sell that to some cartel out in California, and before you can blink, they'd emptied your account.
But that's what the retail CBDC is all about, Tim, to keep us safe, to take away all that threat.
Okay.
All the bad guys go away with that.
Let me say it one more time. 4.15 people in the federal government, how many of those people do you trust? Crickets? All those people are going to, on a digital economy, all those people are going to have access to your money. Okay? And whatever code it takes to get your money. Okay? Now, are they going to use your real ID for transactions? Well, we already know that there are, what was it, the figure, 65,000 phony Social Security numbers that legals are carrying around with them. The federal system is not ready for a digital currency. They think they are because they want the control. It's going to be utter chaos, and people need to be aware of what rights they are losing. What freedoms are you giving up? And states that are determined to do away with guns, it's a baby step to doing away with silver and gold. So, you need to be aware of what's going on in your state, and any rep at the state level, whoever starts talking about taking away your guns or any other rights, you need to watch out, because it's a baby step between that and seizing gold and silver. And, we are supposed to have something like 8,400 metric tons of gold. I don't believe that's ever been verified. They supposedly took some key congressmen down to Fort Knox to see it. Honestly, I think they could have visited the set of Goldfinger. Remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
With Odd Job? That's maybe what they saw. Who knows?
Tim, what inspires you?
Specifically, people who do their jobs and work hard and do the best they can do. You see a lot that's not that way. You see a lot of people who are content to live off the government. And, I got to say, met a lot of people in the military who inspire me. But people who just do the best job they can do. And, I think you met one in my store. It doesn't really matter what the job is, but people who do a good job at their own work, take pride in their work,
Right.
and, come to work thinking, I'm going to do a better job at my job than anyone else could do. That's what inspires me. And, I listened to a couple of union guys. I guess Trump met outside the court, went on his way into the courtroom.
Yep.
He, I guess walked into a bunch of union guys, and they know he has their back, okay? All these people that he was talking to are hardworking. They may be union guys, and sometimes in some places you look down on union guys because you think they don't work as hard as they should. But it looked to me like those guys are all hardworking Americans, and that's the way it should be.